to a quad.
Talking about that, because let's be real. On the old WNBA front, this is the most relevant the league is going to be for the next couple of weeks. Because we can be honest, during a couple of weeks, Caitlin Clark is out injured. Doesn't matter what happens. Does not matter what happens. No one cares.
The WNBA is once again at the center of attention, but this time, it's not because of questionable calls or hard hits. It's something much more serious. Stephanie White's recent update on Caitlin Clark's injury has rattled the basketball world. And what really stood out wasn't just the news itself, it was the uncertainty in her voice. It hinted that this injury might be more serious than anyone's letting on.
This groin injury, and how much of an absence do you expect from her beyond today?
Yeah, late last night. I think it's very much a day-to-day thing, how she responds to treatment. I stay in my lane and let our strength and conditioning and our physical, our AT staff do what they do best. But yeah, I found out late last night, and then we'll treat it day to day.
Back-to-back a factor at all with that?
I mean, I don't know if it's a factor from a physical standpoint, from an athletic training standpoint. Certainly in my mind, it is. But at the same time, she's shown that she's tough and she's a quick healer. So
the harsh truth is getting harder to ignore. Caitlin Clark has been physically targeted all season, and it's finally caught up with her. Now, the league's biggest star is sidelined with an injury that feels both sudden and sadly inevitable. Maybe no one saw it coming, or maybe no one wanted to.
Seconds left. How much patience do I need to have before I can start going nuclear? Because I am getting very frustrated with what I am seeing. To everybody that said Caitlin Clark didn't look like herself, salute to you. For everybody that said Caitlin Clark might be going through something, salute to you. Clearly, you all saw what that person that stands there like this can't see. We all saw what was going on. Man, something's not right.
When Stephanie White took the podium to speak about Caitlin Clark's unexpected groin injury, fans were hoping for clear answers and calm reassurance. Instead, they got something very different, a coach who seemed genuinely surprised and uncertain. Her vague comments didn't ease concerns, they only added to the growing list of questions surrounding Clark's condition.
She reported yesterday, like, her pain in the left groin.
it had to have been at some point during the day because they took her out yesterday, for the MRI. So I'm not exactly sure. I didn't hear about it until we heard from our training staff last night.
And with the MRI, did it show a strain or anything? Or
I don't. You'll have to ask our trainer.
Late last night, Stephanie White shared something that raised even more eyebrows. When asked when she first found out about Caitlin Clark's injury, her answer was concerning. Clark had apparently been in pain and even had an MRI on Wednesday, but White didn't hear about it until later that evening when the training staff reached out. That timeline is troubling. It's not the kind of clear, proactive injury management fans expect from a professional organization.
Rushed her back. And within rushing her back, she re-injured that same quad. And then he rushed her back again. And then within rushing her back, she was forced to put pressure and put stress on different areas surrounding that quad. That leads us to our most recent groin injury. I don't need a degree to think for myself. If you've ever been to the gym, you got some chest pain, next thing you know, you got some shoulder pain. Why? Because instead of using your chest muscle to do the exercises, you compensate and start using your shoulder to...
Late last night, Stephanie White shared something that raised even more eyebrows. When asked when she first found out about Caitlin Clark's injury, her answer was concerning. Clark had apparently been in pain and even had an MRI on Wednesday, but White didn't hear about it until later that evening when the training staff reached out. That timeline is troubling. It's not the kind of clear, proactive injury management fans expect from a professional organization.
She's dealing with a lot herself, right? Stephanie White. Of course, she's missed, 2 games so far because of personal issues. So I don't necessarily know what her personal issues are. Hopefully it's nothing like DeWanna Bonner's. But nonetheless, she's dealing with some things of her own. So maybe it's a tad bit difficult to keep up with every single thing that happens with her players. And then, of course, she got this news late at night. So I don't know what time this could have been. It was posted early in the morning. So she's probably just now getting into the facility and trying to figure out what's going on with Caitlin. Let me see the MRI. What happened with the MRI? They probably caught her right before she can get off.
What made Stephanie White's press conference even more unsettling was how often she admitted to being out of the loop. "I'm not exactly sure. I didn't hear about it until we heard from our training staff last night," she said. That kind of statement paints a concerning picture, a coaching staff not fully informed about the health of their biggest star.
When she says you have to ask our training staff, are any of us really going to get the opportunity to actually talk to a training staff member? I don't think that actually is going to happen. So like what Stephanie White is doing right there is basically saying, I can't tell you, even if I could tell you, it's not going to be announced through me. It's going to be announced just how they announce everything else. They're going to announce it through a press conference. They're going to announce it through a press release, a tweet with the information. These organizations are very private, especially with, the injury information, because people...
Clark's groin injury didn't come out of nowhere. It's the result of months of relentless physical contact that the WNBA has done little to rein in. The timing makes it even more troubling, coming right after that controversial game against the Connecticut Sun where she was poked in the eye by JCS Sheldon and blindsided by Marina Mabry. Since returning from a quad injury on June 14th, Clark has been pushing through what's honestly felt like a nightmare. Her performance has clearly suffered. She's just 1 for 23 from three-point range over her last 3 games. Against Seattle, she hit a season low with only 6 points and ended the night with more turnovers than points. It's a glaring sign that something hasn't been right for a while.
Caitlin Clark does not need to play another game until she's completely 100% healthy. If that means she has to miss multiple weeks, so be it, because you don't want to get into the habit of her rushing back from injuries when she's not fully healthy. And we know if one nagging injury can lead to another nagging injury. So the best thing that the Indiana Fever can do, regardless of what Caitlin Clark wants to do, you have to protect your star, your superstar, because she's going to want to get on the court. But until she's 100% healthy, she does not need to play another basketball game for the Indiana.
If Caitlin Clark were fully healthy, she wouldn't need to play another minute to have already proven her value to the game. But the numbers tell a troubling story about how she's been treated in the WNBA. According to official stats, she's been the target of 17% of all flagrant fouls in the league this season, 8 in total. And when 80% of those come from just one team, it's not a coincidence, it's a clear pattern. The hits have been coming since day one. From Kennedy Carter's blindside body check, to the Chicago Sky's repeated targeting, to the eye poke and shove combo in the Connecticut game, Clark has taken a level of punishment that, in past eras, would have ended careers. What's even more frustrating is the lack of real consequences for the players responsible. Marina Mabry, who hit Clark with a brutal body check after she'd already been poked in the eye, received only a technical foul, later upgraded to a flagrant. No suspension. No real discipline. Just a fine and the green light to keep going after the league's biggest star.
Real talk, a lot of y'all records she coming for. She coming for him. At the end of the day, y'all can't stop nothing, bro. Y'all trying to beat her up and bruise her up and take her out the game and injure her, bro. We know what the motive is, dog. Like, don't nobody like that. I don't vouch for that. I don't like that. You hear me? Y'all not leading. Look, y'all need to get that out y'all heart. Cause that's some deep demonic stuff. The way y'all thinking and how y'all moving and having y'all little meetings and all of that and want to plot against this woman and her teammates that have her back. Y'all better leave her, Sophie Cunningham.
The response from Caitlin Clark's fan base has been immediate and fierce. Social media is flooded with fans calling for her to leave the WNBA altogether. Many feel the league never truly appreciated or protected her. One fan summed up the mood by saying if Clark walked away from the WNBA to play overseas, they wouldn't be upset, they'd support it. If that move led to the league's downfall, so be it. That message reflects the frustration of thousands who've watched their favorite player take hit after hit with little to no accountability for those responsible. The numbers back up just how much the league relies on her. When Clark missed time earlier this season, ratings for nationally televised games dropped by 55%, plummeting from 1.81 million to 847,000 viewers. The Fever's ticket prices also sank by 47%, yet while she's been on the receiving end of dangerous fouls, she's somehow ended up with technicals, while the players who've targeted her walk away with barely a slap on the wrist. The message fans are getting? The WNBA seems more concerned with protecting the egos of longtime players than the safety and well-being of the athlete who's done more to elevate the league than anyone in recent memory.
Just, finding out this morning that we probably need to hold out again today. It's just, it really is a day-to-day thing. And I think for us, making sure that we're prioritizing her long-term health and wellness. It's anybody who's had some of these types of injuries understand that sometimes it's a process. She's a quick healer, and she's been doing everything that she can to get back on the floor. So, we just want to make sure that we're hypersensitive to the big picture.
What's perhaps most frustrating for fans isn't just the hits Caitlin Clark has taken on the court, it's the silence from the mainstream sports media. While they've been quick to praise her record-breaking moments and the massive ratings she brings in, they've largely looked the other way when it comes to the consistent physical targeting she's endured. The same media outlets that couldn't get enough of the Caitlin Clark effect have stayed quiet about the Caitlin Clark targeting effect. And when veteran players or analysts brush off valid concerns about her safety, calling it favoritism or special treatment, it misses the point entirely. This isn't about race or hype, it's about protecting the athletes who are driving the sport forward. Tiger Woods wasn't shielded in golf because he was special, he was protected because the sport understood that its biggest stars need space to perform, thrive, and stay healthy. Caitlin Clark deserves the same level of respect and protection.
But I'm going to keep saying it. Something is going on. I don't know what it is, man, but that's uncalled for. And we can see it. I don't know if we need to look into the committee, with the higher up player, the veteran players. I don't know where we need to look at, but we need to look somewhere because
we need to start asking hard questions, and fast, because Stephanie White's uncertain tone when talking about Caitlin Clark's injury should be a serious wake-up call for WNBA leadership. When a head coach doesn't have clear answers about her star player's health, when that player is being consistently targeted on the court with little accountability, and when the league's biggest attraction might be eyeing a future overseas. That's not just a team issue. That's a full-blown crisis. The WNBA is at a crossroads. Right now, opponents seem more focused on wearing Clark down through physical intimidation than beating her with skill. And the league is letting it happen. This isn't about giving special treatment. It's about protecting the athletes who are moving the sport forward. Protecting stars isn't favoritism, it's common sense, smart business, and the bare minimum of respect. It's time the league finally acts like it understands that.
Let's look at the WNBA and Caitlin Clark. Who is set to make WNBA players more money? Is it Angel Reese, the author of the Me Bound? The Me Bound that she's now going to copyright, and she's trying to get all the rights to it so she can glorify the Me Bound? Basically a made-up stat for someone who can't hit layups? No, it's not Angel Reese. Does Angel Reese help add to the legend that is Caitlin Clark? For sure. Caitlin Clark is going to print money.
Caitlin Clark's current day-to-day injury status, with no clear return date, shows exactly what's wrong with how the WNBA has handled her situation. While players like Marina Mabrey and JCS Sheldon keep playing without facing serious consequences, the league's brightest star sits sidelined, maybe even wondering if the physical toll is worth it. Fans see the reality loud and clear, even if the league chooses to look away. When Paige Buchers calls the pressure on Clark inhumane, she's not just talking about media hype, she's pointing to a broken system that's failing to protect the players who matter most.
It is no secret that Caitlin Clark has been struggling in her shooting since coming back from injury. She had that big game right after the initial leg injury where they played the Liberty, they beat the Liberty. She had 30-something, Sabrina had 30-something. It was a fantastic game. But since then, she has been really struggling from the field. There's been reports of her maybe having her migraine issues again. There's been reports of her in interviews she's been coughing a lot and kind of sniffling, was she sick? And now she is out for tonight's game because of a groin injury. And even in her post-game interview the other night, she said, it felt good coming out of my hands, and then it just wasn't going in. They feel good. They feel like typical Caitlin Clark shots. She doesn't feel like anything is different, but then they just weren't going in. And then we saw this at the end of the game the other night. Almost looks like it was her leg and ankle again. She gets up. Mid-court, and Erica Wheeler comes and helps her. She's doing some stretching. We're like, oh, is it the ankle?
Clark missing significant time. I would assume that the WNBA is still on track to make pesos, which is great. That's great. But if that happens,
there's going to be an expectation to maintain it. There will be an expectation to figure out a way to turn this monetized turd into actual dollars. It's kind of hard to do that when the only star in your league is constantly on the bench. And one of the potential reasons that she's constantly on the bench is because of the increased physicality that she's forced to deal with every time she's on the court. We have already seen what happens when Caitlin Clark disappears from the